So, for any of you that don't know, I look at leadership, and leadership is something that I am obsessed with. I love studying it, I love looking at it. And I've been looking recently at something that has been just sparked my interest recently. I wouldn't say that I've ever really had a football team that I've supported apart from Brazil. I always supported Brazil, but I tell you, I've recently found myself being dragged into the whole Manchester United saga and what's going on, and I'm finding it fascinating. The whole, just the fact that they can't bring it all back together, and I am feeding myself, getting dragged and dragged into that story, and I am finding myself watching more Manchester United games just because of the how calamitous the whole thing is. And through all my leadership study, I believe that I know the answer on how to fix Manchester United. I know a lot of people have come up with different um, different answers. I've heard people saying that the signings are bad and the manager's bad, the tactician's bad, or the tactics are bad. I don't believe that's the core issue. I heard people saying the Glazers are bad, and I don't think that's the issue. Maybe Jim Ratcliffe might be able to sort this out, but I'm going to tell you right now what the issue is and how it can be fixed. And I'm looking at this from a leadership point of view, leadership and management. And I'm sure I've mentioned many times that if you've listened to previous stuff that I've done about leadership, that the a leader is essentially someone who people follow, whether that be negatively, positively. Maybe the people are following due to money. They want money. Maybe they want status. Maybe they want safety. Maybe they follow your ideology. Whatever it is, people will follow you because you have something they want or you believe in something they believe in. That's essentially it, and people will follow you. So, as a manager, a football club manager, you need to get people to follow you. You need to get people to invest into your system and into your ideals. So coming in and saying, "This is what we're all going to do. This is how we're going to train." Blah blah blah. It kind of does piss people off a little bit, but again, that is not the issue. This is why so many people have struggled, and I think they're going about it the wrong way. So if you look at the team and you look at the team that won a lot of stuff under Alex Ferguson, there were two main things, two very, very important things with Alex Ferguson. A lot of people going about his man management and his tactics, and forget all that. Forget all that, because there's loads of managers that have got that. What was it? Two things that I believe are the reason that he had success and the reason no one has had success since. The first one is when you are a great manager of a company, great, you could be the sergeant in an army and you've got people underneath you, whatever it may be. There is one thing that is created, first of all, and that is a culture. And that is whatever that culture might be, happy culture, serious culture, professional culture, whatever that culture might be, that is what you need to create. Now, in football, a lot of the young players coming through are quite petulant now. Um, they don't play for the love of the game as much as they used to. And you need to create that environment and you need to create that culture. So, looking at yesteryear with your likes of your Paul Scholes, your Roy Keane, let's say Chuck Rio Ferdinand in there as well. Um, a lot of those big players, they managed the culture of the team. Gary Neville, another good example. They managed the culture of the team, and then what would happen is you get someone like Cristiano Ronaldo in who wanted to win, but his ego would never get, or it didn't to begin with. It wasn't bigger than the team. He wanted to win. He trained hard. His professionalism was through the roof, and he didn't believe he was bigger than Manchester United to begin with. So he was surrounded, Cristiano Ronaldo was surrounded by people that would not let him get away with being an arrogant shit. Now, today, when you look at that team, and this comes from the top, this does come from the manager, but when you look at the Manchester United team of today, Harry Maguire, couldn't handle the pressure of being made the captain. It's a lot of pressure, but he didn't. It doesn't make him a worse footballer. He just didn't know how to manage, like, get the team into a winning mindset. So that was very, very difficult time for Harry Maguire. If you look at the rest of the team, you look at the spine of the team, especially David De Gea. Great when he was there, older statesman for a while. He'd been there a long time. He was there from the Ferguson era. So yes, but the problem with him was he's not a vocal person who's going to put people in their place. He's not a Peter Schmeichel who's going to, you know, enforce a, he didn't have a presence the same as him. Now, I'm not saying everyone who has a presence is a positive. Eric Cantona, Paulo Di Canio, these people have presences, but they maybe weren't the most positive presences. But if you look at the team and you look at players, for example, uh, today, again, you're let's call them your older players. Ericsson isn't someone who has what I would say is a winning mindset. Great player, but is he someone that will take no shit and say to a Hoyland, if you do not toe the line, you can fuck off back to where you came. Go and play your shitty football there. No. Would, for example, Maguire. I think Maguire's too nice. I don't know him personally, but he comes across as too nice. I think Casemiro, he's there for the jolly now. He's not kind of like what Veron was at the time, Juan Sebastian Veron. It was kind of, you're there, you just exist in the team. You're a number, but you're not. You're not. There is a big difference between a Thiago Silva and a Casemiro. Thiago Silva is uh, he wants to win. He wants to win, whereas I think Casemiro isn't fussed either way. Um, my biggest bugbear is Bruno Fernandes. I don't care about his stats. I would get rid of him straight away because I think he's you see him on the pitch. So for example, I'm in that team. Say I'm the captain and Bruno Fernandes is doing what he does, screaming at the referee. Remember, I would go over there and I would probably grab Bruno Fernandes by the throat and say, "You speak to the referee like that again, and I'm going to smash your teeth out. Shut the fuck up. Leave the referee alone. Get on with your own fucking game. Stop complaining. Shut your face." I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't stand for it. You do not get involved with the referee. I don't care. That's my job. And yes, you might say, well, he's the captain, but he doesn't go about it the right way. He doesn't speak to the captain. He moans like a little girl. Just just got this kind of naggy little snappy chihuahua type petulance, and he loses his head. You can't have someone like that as a Wayne Rooney. You can't have a Wayne Rooney as your captain. You can't. You need someone with a bit more composure who's going to control the other players and say no, calm down. You need someone with that composure. You need. And I know you would say, well, Roy Keane was a fucking lunatic, but at the same time, he wouldn't let other people behave that way. He would behave that way himself, and yes, it's not leading by example, but he would take one for the team, but he wouldn't allow anyone else to play up, which is kind of what you need. You need that, but Bruno Fernandes isn't that. He's just whiny, and I don't think he's a strong leader. I don't. I think he. I just don't. I don't rate him. I really don't. So yes, as a player, but not as a captain and not as someone who is going to instill professionalism. And he's not composed enough for me. He doesn't have enough of a presence, not enough of a regal presence. So if you look around the whole team, Rashford, stinking attitude. He might have, in fairness to him, he might have some mental health issues. He might, but at the same time, if you don't want to be there, fuck off. Just let people know you don't want to be there. I think he does. I just don't think he has the right mindset. I don't think Jadon Sancho, he had the right mindset. Now, I heard a thing years ago that say that when you have 100 young boys go into a football club to try and play professional football for that club, the manager will give them a hard time. He will make them run. He'll shout at them. He will break them. And what happens is the next season only 50 turn up, and the next season only 20 turn up, and the next season only 10 turn up. And in the end, you're left with one. And that one, from all that pressure, has been molded into a diamond. All that pressure has just created this diamond of a player with an insane mindset, and you created that through your pressure on that player. But today, who gets through? Well, every player is mollycoddled. Every player is given a participation trophy. There is no pressure. There is no bollocking. There is none of that. So instead of it being the player with the greatest mindset that gets through, instead it's the player with the greatest athletic attributes, which is why there are such a high percentage of young black and mixed race players that get through. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't get through anyway if they had a lot of pressure on them, but if you're going to literally select between 100 kids and you're not going to whittle them down in any way, on day one, you may as well pick the ones at the end because you're still picking out of 100. It used to be that the kids would quit because of how hard it was. And you'd end up, like I said, with that the one who just kept coming back. And you don't get that anymore. So you get the players like Rashford and Jadon Sancho, and they're just a bit, I don't have that winning mindset. I don't have that hunger. I don't have that professionalism. I'm just kind of here for the ride, here for the money, whatever. And that professionalism needs to come back. So going back to my original point, my point one is to create that culture before you sign young new players. Because the young new players that come in, let's just take Rasmus Højlund. He comes in. The attitude in the culture in that changing room isn't a winning culture of professionalism. I guarantee you today, if you took Rio Ferdinand, boop, and you plopped him in that changing room today, and Roy Keane in there today, and you took Gary Neville, and you took Paul Scholes, you took all these players, and then you said even players like Darren Fletcher, John O'Shea, these players were they got to where they got and they made it where they made it because they were so disciplined and professional. Ji-sung Park, oh my goodness, what an underrated player. Patrice Evra, all these players that you've just put into this position where you've said, do you want to work hard? Do you want to win? And they're all like, yes. That culture is, if someone comes in and they think they're bigger than the team, they won't last 2 minutes. They're gone. You need to work hard every day and you're there to win every single match. It's serious. It's a serious game. It's not a fuck about. You need that winning professional mindset. So if you get those players in. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be the best players. You might have a rocky couple of years. You might be bringing players in from the championship. You might bring a player in from abroad who isn't the star name. But by fuck are they going to work hard. They've got a very professional mindset and they are a presence in that changing room. That is what Manchester United need. You do not win games by having 10 star players. It doesn't work. You need a team made up of professional workhorses who want to win. Then you sprinkle a bit of stardust on it. You sprinkle your Cantonas on it. You sprinkle your Thierry Henrys on it. You sprinkle your, I don't know, Didier Drogba's or whoever it may be. You sprinkle that little bit of magic on it, and then that is how you that is how you get that consistent winning culture. So while Manchester United, if you took their team, for example, today, and they're saying they're going to sell 20 players, whatever, you do not want to bring in the players that are, for example, Camavinga. If you brought in a Camavinga and then you brought in um, a Rabiot, say you brought in a Rabiot, and then you brought in a young Portuguese attacking midfielder and a young Brazilian winger and a young I can't think who. Say you brought in uh, a centre back from France who, he's 22, 23, great prospect. The problem you now have is you've got a changing room full of players who don't have that winning professional mindset, and that culture isn't going to get created again. And if you get one person that comes in who is that, um, let's just say that Rio Ferdinand player, they're not going to have an effect because they're outnumbered by the amount of players that couldn't give a fuck. That's your issue. Sorry. So a player like a Jude Bellingham, he's rare now. Yes, he's got an amazing talent, but you look at the way he handles himself, the way he carries himself. Saka. Now, Saka is a very professional player in himself. But for me, he's not got the personality at the moment to be an influential player. So yes, he's professional himself, but he's not going to influence younger players coming through to also be professional. He's not going to tell them to shut the fuck up and toe the line. And if you want to be an Arsenal player, you need to eat a certain way, stop drinking, blah, 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 blah. Gone are the days of the 70s and 80s. Then you had that very professional era, and now it's kind of gone that no one's really drinking and partying anymore, and they're keeping themselves fit, but they couldn't give a fuck about the football or about winning. They're all mates. Like I've seen a lot of people say, the the years of Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, these teams, the venom between these teams. They used to fucking hate each other. Today, not too bothered. They're all mates. It's that venom and that desire to win, I feel, is gone. They want to win, but they're not angry about it. So you need to create that culture. And I'm trying to think of some players, but if you brought in some older, maybe not older players, but players who are going to create that professional culture, then you bring your Garnachos in and your Hoylands in, Hoylands in, and when you bring them in, you don't allow them to start slipping and getting petulant, and you need the team to call them out. Now, what happens? This is kind of my second point. My second point is when Sir Alex Ferguson was there, there was a there was a how would you describe it? There was a system in place where Sir Alex Ferguson was the judge, jury, and executioner. He had a black and white approach, no grey areas, my way or the highway. You're not bigger than the team. I'm not bigger than the team. No one is bigger than Manchester United. That was Sir Alex Ferguson's ethos. Rashford thinks he's bigger than the club. Bruno Fernandes probably thinks he's bigger than the club. For definite, Cristiano Ronaldo, when he turned, he thought he was bigger than the club. Yes, the romantics loved it and everything, but no. If you can remember the David Beckham sort of era where he got too big. His marketing was getting massive. He was getting too big. He was becoming too much of a distraction. Star player, selling so much. Don't give a fuck. You're gone. No one's bigger than my club. No one's bigger than this club, I should say. Same again, I think there was Yapstam maybe. I know there was Roy Keane. There was an incident. Alex Ferguson was just like, no, you're out. Gone. It was cutthroat. Ruthless. You think you're bigger than the team, you're gone. Cristiano Ronaldo. He loved Cristiano Ronaldo. You can tell he loved Cristiano Ronaldo, but Cristiano Ronaldo getting a little bit too big, becoming a bit of a too much of a distraction. An amazing player, but the team is more important than you. So you got to go. And that was it. I believe that needs to come back. Rashford, I do not care if you came from an English academy and you need those academy players. You're gone. You don't want, you're not going to perform if you don't show it in training. You don't have the right attitude. You're not performing. You're gone. That's it. You're not good enough. You can't be. You look at Andy Cole, ruthless. Ruud van Nistelrooy, ruthless. In front of goal, these players were insane. Then what have you had? Martial, Rashford. Now I do think the days of the prolific striker are kind of gone a little bit. There's a couple out there, but most of them are gone. But I genuinely think it's because of the way they're being coached to not be able to kind of be expressive. Like Thierry Henry was very expressive. You got your Bergkamps, Berbatovs, all these players that were very expressive and technical and could conjure magic. Players today aren't allowed to conjure magic. But going back to my whole point about the culture and the black and white kind of um, in or out sort of system. If I was the manager of Manchester United, I am going to fix that team by getting rid of all the petulance in the team. Now, I'm not saying get rid of all the crap players, and I'm not saying keep the good players. I'm not saying get rid of the players that don't bring a positivity to the team. You can be a neutral player, but anyone who brings any negativity, you're gone. So the way I see it is this: imagine you start on a zero. Winning culture is all the way up to 100, and then losing culture is all the way down to, let's call it, minus 100. When you had your Rio Ferdinands, he might be a plus 10 player. You might have Gary Neville's a plus 10 player. And then you've got your, I don't know, Wayne Rooney might be a plus 5. And then you've got your whoever. And then you keep going, keep going, keep going. Then you've got certain players that were maybe a minus. So, for example, um, Ryan Giggs, because of the distractions he had, he he might have been a plus, but guessing from the outside, he might have been like a -1. You can live with a -1. You can live with a -2. But you can live with David Beckham when he's a -2 and he's a -3. You get up to a -5, you're just gone because you're too much of a minus. Now, Mbappe, for me, his attitude, he's like a -20. I do not want that anywhere near any team that I am managing. I do not. I don't care how good you are. You are too self-centered. You're not about the team. You are about you. Out. I don't care. Messi is the opposite. Messi is the star of the show, but he doesn't. I mean, he might be a right prima donna behind closed doors, but he seems quite modest. He seems quite humble, and he might not be a negative, but he might not be a massive positive. Sorry, but he's not a negative. So he might only be a, because of the way he is. He might what would you call it? Call people out. Say he might not call people out that often. He might be like a 2 or a 3. But you look at the way Puyol was when he was at Barcelona. He'd call everyone out. He wouldn't take any shit. He was like a plus 10 as well. So you've got those players. You could, yes, like I said, you can have your Luis Suarez as long as he toes the line most of the time. You can have a Neymar because he toes the line most of the time. But the rest of the team, your Iniestas, your Xavis, your Busquets, your Puyol, your PK, Dani Alves, whoever else there was, the very, very, very professional team. All round, bar two. Your Suarez and your Neymar. They're petulant, but you can live with two. You can live with two. But like I said, you've got a lot of very positive players in there. So this is what I would do. I would look at these players and I would mark them out of either between plus 10 and minus 10. And I suppose if you've got 20 players, or 22 players, you can either go up to plus 220 or down to minus 220 if you're looking at it like that, and you've got 22 players in your squad. So I would say you score every player and you see what they bring to the team in terms of energy, positivity, professionalism, winning mindset, and how much they influence the rest of the team. Not just what they do themselves. What is their influence on the rest of the team? You mark them for that influence, and then you see where they are. They might be the best player. They might be the Mbappe. They might be incredibly fast, incredibly talented, incredibly strong, great goal scoring, but they're a minus 10. I wouldn't want it. Unless everyone else in my team is like a plus 10, you need a minimum, realistically, you need a minimum of probably 150, plus 150 overall. And the closer you can get to, say, 180, something like that, you've got one hell of a team. One hell of a team. But you need to have, and I think this is the problem with a lot of the South American countries now. Too petulant, not bothered. And they've always been a bit like that, but now it matters that much more. So that's what I would do. I would sit down, I would mark these players between plus 10 and minus 10, and I would put them all down on a piece of paper and see what my final score was. And I guarantee you for Manchester United, it's below zero. It's below zero, and that score means now that the team are constantly in a negative. You bring in a new player, that young player is a zero, because then they've got no real positive influence, no negative influence. They might be a minus two, they might be a plus two, but they're not strong influence. And then what happens is, because the culture is lower than zero, they slowly get dragged down and down and down. And the culture becomes toxic. The culture then, they become a minus five. You then bring in a new young player. So Kobe Mainu, at the moment, at Manchester United, seems like such a positive... I'm sorry. It seems a really positive influence and seems quite professional. But the problem you've got is, if he's around all these, again, petulant, arrogant, non-professional, non-winning mindsets, he's never going to grow and develop into an even stronger mindset. He's just going to get weaker and weaker and weaker and less and less and less and less. Mentally, I'm on about. And then that's why you get those players who burst onto the scene. They're young, they're hungry, someone like a Rashford, and then the team has just sucked that out of him, and now he's like a minus 8, just depressing and doesn't lift the team. He drags them down. When you've got a team of people that drag each other down mentally, don't hold each other accountable, and there's no team mindset, there's no like everyone gathering around everyone and saying, we need to be there for him, because it's just not there anymore. That is what you need to sort out. So I would get rid of those players that are the biggest minuses, your Rashfords, your... I don't know off the top of my head. So I keep my Luke Shaws. Luke Shaw seems to be quite positive. Again, you'd need to be inside to be able to... I'd need to be able to see all these people on a daily basis for maybe a month, and then say, right, probably less than that, but just say, right, this person's a 3, this person's a 4, this person's a minus 5. And then you would be able to say, right, yes, they've got a slight positive influence, but this person here is a massive negative. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And that's how I would get rid of them. You create that positive culture, create that winning mindset, and that is how I would sign my players. I would sign players that have a winning mindset, that are professional, which have a presence, and they're going to help me create that winning culture. That is what I would do. Then I would worry about signing good players. Then I would worry about signing young players. No point in bringing all these young players through if there is no culture to indoctrinate them into. You need that winning mindset. You need that professional mindset. You need that hunger and fire and desire to win and take no shit. And no matter what, you win or you die. That you need that in the team. And that isn't there. Simple as that. You create that culture initially. You then can bring players in, your good players, and then you start winning games. You look at I just after I watched the Crystal Palace game, and you have good players in there, but the culture, the negativity is why they're losing, not the ability of the players. There is no strong spine of, and I'm not talking the spine down the pitch of strong players. I'm talking about the ones who, like I said, your Gary Neville's. Even if you pick wing players, your Gary Neville's very professional player wouldn't take any shit from people messing around. And all right, he might not be the most intimidating of people, but at the same time, he is going to call you out. You need that. You need a team of people that are going to call you out for acting like a twat. That's what you need. So that's number one. And then you need that manager to set black and white. None of this grey bollocks or we're going to keep them because, well, they're kind of, they are a good player and they do sell a lot of shirts. No. If you do not toe the line, if you do not set a good example, if you start thinking you're bigger than the team, you got to go. It's as simple as that. You need these players to know where that line is. Now, for example, with my young boy, he's 2 years old, bit of a lunatic, and I've got a friend who's got a boy himself, and he's having a lot of problems with his boy's behaviour. He doesn't. His son doesn't have a healthy fear of his of the dad of my friend. So my friend will try and negotiate with this 2 year old and say, please stop hitting your sister. It's not a very nice thing to do. And the boy would just smack him in the face and just be like, shut up. Who do you think you are? The boy's 2. Now, I'm not saying I don't agree with, personally, I don't agree with hitting children. I don't hit my own children. I don't think I ever could. I couldn't. Unless my boy was, say, 18 plus and he deserved it. But that's a whole different thing. He's a man then. But I'm talking, I don't even think then I could do it. I love him too much. But anyway, um, with my boy who's 2 years old, he knows when I'm being serious. If he does something, if he walks up to his sister and he tries to pull her hair, I will turn on him. I'll growl at him. I will shout his name. I will scare him, and I will walk him into the corner of the room, and I'll get at eye level, and I will say, "What are you doing? You do not pull hair. It's disgusting behavior. You do that again, there's going to be big trouble. Now you sit on that step." And I'll just sit there and stare at him, and he's trying to hide. And then, uh, I'll kind of leave him. I'll bring his sister in, and I will say to him, "You say sorry right now." And he'll kind of be like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." So you do not do that ever again. You do that again, massive trouble. And again, he's only 2, but I make him realize how serious I am. He probably doesn't understand all the words I'm saying. He knows I'm dead serious. I'm staring him straight in the eye. You never do that again. Now, if it's my daughter, who is different for a girl, and I don't care what anyone says, it is different. She's not the same. She doesn't misbehave in the same sort of way. But if she does misbehave, I will get her, because she's a bit older. I'll get her to repeat what she's done wrong and go and tell her mum. So I will say to my daughter, "What is, you do not do that. You do not, for example, I don't know, pinch your brother. You do not do that. You now go and tell your mum what you did." Now, I know she knows what she did, but I want her to verbalize it so that she admits it. She then tells her mum. Her mum doesn't tell her off again. Her mum will say to her, "I'm disappointed. That's really not nice behaviour." I will then call her back and I will make her apologize to her brother. "You apologize now. You never do that again. You never pinch your brother. I don't want to see it." Now, if he, I'm not even getting into that, but what I make sure is that she knows it's wrong. I make her repeat it, and then I make her tell her mum uh, what will happen if she does it again. So I get her to repeat the punishment, her to repeat what she did wrong, her to repeat these things, and it's not a nice thing to have to do. So she's now doesn't want to do it again because she doesn't want to have to stand there and tell her mum what she did. But the point is, there's a black and white line with me. There is no grey line. This is the line. You're either within the boundary and you're fine, or you step over the line and it's on. There is hell to pay. I'm not having it. There is no please don't hit your brother. If I see it, then they're getting it. They will have me angry, and I will, like I said, I will stare them dead in the eye and just get angry and just say, you never do that again. And that is what I believe a lot of these football players need. They don't have that. It's classed as bullying now. HR get involved. HR can get fucked. This isn't, if you haven't got the right mindset, you're not in the right game. Fuck off. Genuinely, you can't have, now this is a controversial topic, I know. You can't have people in the army who are wet and going to run to HR, but at the same time, you can't be unnecessarily bullying and raping people. I understand there's a line here. There is a line. But at the same time, you cannot be mollycoddling people who need to have a certain mindset. This is why you need to be at when these young boys, you need to be saying to them, if you don't want to do it, go away. You do not want to play, you leave. You're never going to make it with that sort of attitude, with that sort of mindset. Lose them. Keep the ones that are going to work hard, the ones that are going to come back, the ones that are going to run in the rain, the ones that are going to put the extra effort in and train and train and train and train. What is it they say, that hard work beats talent every time? So keep the people with the hard work, not the people with the talent. Keep the people with the right mindset. That right mindset is what makes them work hard. This is what Manchester United are missing. There is no ruthlessness about getting rid of people anymore. They're keeping too much shit. And then the other problem is the culture is completely wrong. You sort the culture, you sort the club. That's essentially it. And I'm happy if Manchester United want to come pick me up and I'll come and sort the team out, that's not a problem. I'll more than happily come in, sort the team out, tell everyone what the fuck they're doing wrong, and sort out the culture. I don't give a fuck about the egos. I don't care how much you're getting paid. I don't care about any of this shit. The egos have to stop. No. Let me take that back. You need a certain amount of ego to be a footballer. You need to believe you're better than everyone else. But at the same time, you need to not believe that you're bigger than the club, and you need to call out everyone else that isn't towing their weight. You need to stop being selfish and start holding everyone else accountable. And I don't believe people are doing that enough. I don't believe the culture is there. I don't believe that winning mindset is there. You need a hub of players that are going to do that. That is what you have at teams like Brighton, because they don't have the money. You have to create that culture, and the coach will spend that much more time saying, we need to do this as a team. We can do this together. If we work hard, we can beat Arsenal. If we really put the grind in and put the effort in, we can stay in the league. We can push for Europe. And because they've got that grinding mindset, that is why they end up pushing and pushing and pushing. When you're Manchester United, is one of the biggest clubs in the world. We are entitled now, and we should be winning everything. Not with that mindset, you're not. Sort the mindset out, sort the club out, sort the culture out, then sort the players out. Like I said, Manchester United want to bring me in, and I'll sort the club out. More than happy, but I don't come cheap. Remember that. But yeah, I'd love to hear your opinions. For like I said, for me, this is a very big leadership lesson as well. This is mainly to do with management more so than leadership. But if you do have that healthy respect where people know where they stand, and you are pulling people in that same direction, and you say, I want to win and I want all of you to win as well, let's go together, that is where people are going to start following you. People are going to start following you, and then you do start becoming a leader like Klopp had. I think he's losing it a bit now that he said he's going, but Klopp had that. People believed in him. People wanted to win as well, and they followed his vision. They followed his ideals because they wanted the same thing. Now, Manchester United do not have that. So, I just think if you're running a business, If you're running anything, you need to create that culture. That culture is vitally important. That's what all good managers do. They can create that culture, and there is a black and white line of either you're in or you're out. You're part of this team. You're positive. You're going to bring positivity to this team, not just talent. Fuck you and your talent. You bring a positive influence to the team. You can bring a slight negative if the rest of the team is hugely positive, but if you use that in all of your teams, not just for talent, not just for how good they are, but if you say that everyone is worth either plus 10 or minus 10, you take the amount of people you've got within your team, say it's 10, now you've got a maximum of 100 and a minimum of minus 100. You now figure everyone out for influence, positive influence to the team. What do they bring to the team? And then you can figure it out. You might end up on a naught and you're a little bit neutral, but now what you don't want to do is lose someone positive and then bring someone in that's a negative, because now you're a negative and now it slowly starts to snowball downwards. Where if it's the other way and you've got more of a positive, the higher you are, it snowballs up. As long as you're bringing in the right people, and the young people you bring in, the new people you bring in, will get infected by this and slowly start growing up as well. And then it goes up and up and up and up and up. And that's how you get the teams that just win again and again and again and again and again. Like I said, on the flip side, you're in the negatives, you start losing again and again and again and again and again. That's how it goes. That's how you manage a team. That's how you manage a business. That's how you make any group successful. Get a great culture, you've got a great team. You got a great team, you got great results. Facts. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you agree. Hope you're taking something from this and spread the word. Love to hear from more of you.